Just received this nice looking early 1900s Edwardian mantel clock for inspection. Several nice inlays on the face of the case. It's trimmed on the side with a nice inlay. Silvered convex dial, brass bezel surround, and a convex glass. It's by Inglis and Son of York. This is a top-of-the-line jewelry store in England that is still in operation to this day. The top has an unusual contour to it. Pull these hands off. Access door has a metal mesh and a cloth on it to allow the sound to resonate out from it. Pull the strike and mount out. It's a Philip Haas and Son strike mount and movement. They were German clockmakers in the Black Forest, the trademark of Philip Haas and Son of Germany. Get this movement out so we can take a closer look. I'll inspect the pivots on the strike side first, then move to the time side. Mainspring pivot is loose here. These transparent green chunks is jellified oil. Fingerprint damage here. Count wheel pivot. Slightly loose with jellified oil. Third wheel pivot is fairly loose. Time side main wheel arbor looks good. Intermediate wheel. Center wheel pivot. Third wheel pivot. This reddish colored gunk is rust mixed with oil. It's loose. Escape wheel pivot. Rust mixed with oil and needs a bushing. Many times these rusty pivots will need to be repivoted if the scoring is deep. The pallet pivot needs a bushing. Now to the front plate time side. Mainspring barrel arbor has some movement. Intermediate wheel pivot. Third wheel pivot looks good. Escape wheel pivot should have a bushing. Pallet pivot needs a bushing. The strike side mainspring barrel arbor is loose. And here, someone has put a punch mark next to it in an attempt to tighten it. Second wheel pivot is loose. Third wheel pivot. Fourth wheel pivot could use a bushing. Fifth wheel pivot is loose. The fan pivot could use a bushing. Looking at the finish on the front plate, you can see dark streaks next to bright gold. The dark areas are raw brass that has oxidized. The gold is electroplated gold plating. The brush-like look to the plating indicates it was brush plated. There's a film of oil over the entire movement. It has collected a lot of lint, dirt, and debris. Some of these steel parts are beginning to show signs of rust. Looks like someone sprayed this movement with some type of penetrating oil right on top of a dirty movement. Sign of a butcher. All this excess oil collects dirt particles, and it'll wear a movement out fast. Far too much oil here. Checking the mainspring arbor to barrel fit up on the strike side, it could use a bushing here as well. Barrel shouldn't rock like this. Now the time side. It could use a bushing here as well. Barrel can almost contact the front plate here. A small amount of play here and there ends up causing a lot of friction between the gear teeth and the pinions due to misalignment issues. Sure, a lot of excess oil on this movement. Looking at this verge assembly, the anchor has been soldered to the arbor. This crutch arm is bent. It should be straight. The arm should be parallel with the rear plate. I'll pull the verge assembly out for a closer look. This crutch arm should be at a 90-degree angle to the pallet arbor. It's not even close to 90 degrees. And this anchor mount has been soldered to the arbor. A quick fix for a loose anchor mount. It should have been removed and fixed correctly, other than soldering it like this. These European crutch arms have a clutch system for adjusting the beat. The arms are not connected directly to the arbors like in American clocks. It's sandwiched between two pressure washers that creates a clutch system for the arm to rotate independent of the arbor. Someone has soldered the arm to the pressure washer. The clutch has been disabled. This is why someone bent the crutch arm. They were trying to get it in beat. Another butcher job here. Well, I'll present these finders to the client and see how they want to move forward from here.